The Clydesdales were purchased as a gift in 1933 to celebrate the repeal of prohibition, which I think is pretty interesting. August A. Bush Jr., the son of August A. Bush Sr., who was at the time the CEO of Anheuser-Busch, purchased the Clydesdales for his dad as a present.
Hello and welcome back to another Social Drinkers podcast where we talk about the art industry and science of alcohol. Today I brought a little Bush Peach.
Bush Peach?
Yeah, the replacement to Bush Apple.
How is it?
It's all right. You know, it's no Bush Apple.
I was going to say this was a controversial decision by Bush for you.
It was, and you know what? They let me down in a big way. I can live with it, you know? It's a good summer beer.
Is Bush Apple gone for good, or will it be back?
As far as I know, it's out of the picture.
Is this a revolt by all Bush lovers or just yourself?
I know a lot of people are upset. I don't know.
So explain to me what I've never actually heard of Bush Apple or Bush Peach. Is it just like apple flavored beer or what it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it tastes like Bush Light with apple flavoring. And this is Bush Light with peach flavoring.
It feels to me like apple should be in the fall, though. It's normally a summer.
I don't really know when they came out with it, honestly.
Well,
I just remember drinking it.
Do they only sell it seasonally, or do they always have it? Or did they always have it?
They had it year round.
Really?
Or at least we could find it year round.
Huh.
I mean, we were finding it until winter.
Well, yeah, because if they started selling it in the fall, you'd find it till winter.
Well, yeah, but we were drinking it all summer.
Oh.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll have to see. Hopefully the Bush Light people are listening and they will bring back the apple.
Yeah, because they messed up.
Raise for it. Bring it back.
I hate it.
Bring it back, Pop-Tart.
Oh my God. Wild Berry.
What are you drinking, Mitch?
Oh, Fat Tire from good old sustainable New Belgium Brewing out of Fort Collins, Colorado.
Great beer.
That's right? It's out of Fort Collins. Where does it say on the bottle? Probably just said that and it's just wrong. Well, it's definitely from Colorado. Right. Where it doesn't say on their branding anymore. It used to. They changed it to I don't know, it's been a little bit, but it used to say on their logo, but now I believe it's in Fort Collins, Colorado.
I don't know when they changed their branding. It was definitely a couple months ago.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I think it's been years, honestly.
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because when I started buying Fat Tire, it was still old branding.
No way. I think it's been. Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
Fort Collins. I had to look it up because I wanted to make sure I was correct. But yeah, so that's what I'm having. I would say that Fat Tire is one of the elite mass-produced beers. It's very good.
Oh, it's top tier, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kate, what did you bring to the table?
I am drinking a rosé. It is a brand called Hampton Water. Mitch and I were at Sam's Club this weekend and we were getting groceries and I always have to like browse the wine section and I saw this bottle and it just looked really cool. The branding was really cool. It's like sleek and there's this diver and it just looked like a fun summer wine. So picked it up. It's super, super good. It's not your typical rosé. I would say it's not as sweet. It's a little bit drier. It's more in the profile of like a dry white wine. So if you don't like rosé, you actually might like this rosé. But I had to know the story behind the company because it looks like a cool young brand. And so I just had to look it up. And I don't remember if it was the last episode or the episode before where we were talking about celebrity brands. But if you haven't listened and haven't caught up to the podcast, we had a fun quiz where I quizzed Mitch and Ray about celebrity brands. But this is actually a celebrity brand. Do you guys want to try to guess who it is? It's a singer.
A lot of them were.
Billie Eilish.
Okay. No. So Hampton Water was started by Jesse and John Bon Jovi. Huh. Jesse is Bon Jovi's son. And when Bon Jovi wasn't, being a superstar, they would hang out in the Hamptons. And a lot of his son's fond memories are them hanging out in the Hamptons in the summer as a family. And his dad was always drinking pink juice. It was always rosé, but he called it to his kids, he called it pink juice. And so Jesse was like, there's a ton of rosés on the market, but there's nothing innovative and different and cool. And so they partnered with a branding expert to come up with the branding. They partnered with a French winemaker because they believe the best rosé comes from France. And his name is Gerard Bertrand. And they created Hampton Water. So the name comes from them growing up in the Hamptons and them calling it pink juice, but they changed it to Hampton Water instead of pink juice. So really interesting backstory. I wasn't expecting it to be a celebrity brand, but of course it makes sense. I believe it's privately owned. I don't believe that they are with like a big conglomerate or anything like that. They do have two organizations that they're partnered with that they give proceeds back to, which is really cool. One is the Pink Agenda, which is dedicated to breast cancer research. And then one of them is the It Gets Better Project, which is for the LGBTQ community. So you're not only buying a good bottle of rosé, but it's giving back too. So they have a really cool, I'll link their website. They have a really fun video that I highly suggest watching. It just gives an overview of the brand. It's just super cute. And I love video and telling stories through video. And so if you're interested in that kind of stuff like me, then check it out.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of pink juice typically, but it is dry. And so it's more like a white wine. I enjoy it. But I read this stat the other day that said that every single alcohol brand is now a celebrity alcohol brand.
No.
Just kidding.
I was gonna say, like, where are you reading?
But it's insane. Every new one is. It's ridiculous.
I know. It's like hard pressed to find one that's not.
And your quiz was rigged. It was too hard.
Hey, yes. I gave you multiple choice.
I'm just kidding. Obviously, it wasn't rigged.
So, Mitch, you motivated me to figure out when they rebranded Fat Tire.
Okay.
And it was this year in January.
Dang it.
And check this out. They didn't just rebrand. They changed the recipe.
They did? What did they change?
I'm not totally sure. I've been looking through here trying to figure it out. Because it tastes the same.
Yeah, it does taste the same.
32 years of Fat Tire, and they changed it.
That's interesting. You might not be able to find. They might not have the recipe out. I don't know. So you might not be able to find what they changed.
But at its height in 2016, it accounted for over 50% of New Belgium's yearly production volume.
Okay.
And it lost 52.2% of its volume in chain retail nationally.
Really?
Yeah. So
wow.
They rebranded it, changed the recipe, and check this out. As of 2022, if Fat Tire were its own like standalone brewery,
yeah,
based on 2022 sales, it would have ranked as the 18th largest brewery in the country.
Really?
Holy crap.
Yep.
Well, that settles it. I was talking to Dad the other day, and I said, do you think they sell more Fat Tire or more Voodoo Ranger? I'm going to go with Fat Tire after hearing that.
It's pretty crazy, dude.
That is pretty crazy.
It was the number 16 selling craft beer of 2022.
Wow. That's interesting. It's also interesting I wonder what the definition. I probably should know what the definition of a craft beer is if they're calling it a craft beer, because you can buy it everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if it originally started as a craft beer, because I wouldn't consider it a craft beer anymore. It's pretty mainstream.
Yeah, maybe there's a definition for craft beer which we are unaware of, but it definitely started as a craft brewery. It was just a small brewery when it started. But speaking of sales numbers changing, you remember, of course, the Bud Light drama from about a month or so back, 4 to 6 weeks back or so.
I haven't heard of it.
Haven't heard of it before? Oh, okay. Well, did you hear that about a month ago, Modelo dethroned Bud Light as the best-selling beer in America?
That's pretty crazy. I wouldn't have guessed them to take that title.
Had you
I
heard that,
know.
Kate?
No, I feel like I've never seen somebody order a Modelo or be like drinking a Modelo when I'm out. And this is like shocking though.
I'll
My
be honest.
roommate does. He drinks Modelo almost exclusively.
Who does?
My roommate.
Huh. Why?
He likes it.
Huh.
I'm gonna have to try it. I've admittedly never had a Modelo.
I don't think I have either, actually, which is weird because he drinks them all the time and I've never taken a sip.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried so many beers and I have never tried a Modelo, which is crazy to me.
I feel like it's just going to be a Corona.
Yeah, I feel like that's what it's going to be. Is it's going to taste very much like a Corona, a Tecate, a Dos Equis. I don't know. Does Modelo have? Do they have ambers? Do they have lights and all that stuff, or is it just one type of beer? I gotta imagine they have different ones.
They do have different ones. I know one's Modelo White, maybe. I can't remember. And then the super common one is Modelo Negro.
That's okay. That's right. That's right. So I didn't do much digging on Modelo. What I did do some digging on, though, was the origin of this dethronement, because it's not what you might think. So, to all the headline hooligans out there that think that the right-winged protest of Bud Light is what caused the dethronement, that would be incorrect. And there is some very shocking data, believe it or not. So I'm going to read a little bit about the statistics of Modelo's growth. And this one is pretty crazy. Ready for this? In 35 of the last 40 years, they have grown at a double-digit growth rate. That's crazy.
Jeez.
That's insane levels of growth for that long. 35 out of the last 40 years. On the flip side of that, since 2010, Bud Light's market share has slid from 19% all the way down to 10%. Modelo was projected to become the best-selling beer in America in early 2024. So this was already very close to happening. And Bud Light's little marketing snafu, if you want to call it that, just catalyzed the inevitable, if you will. So they were already down at 10% market share. They abruptly fell to 7.3% market share after the post from Dylan Mulvaney on April 1st. And Modelo is now the leader as the best-selling beer in America with an 8.4% market share. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Because
that's not a crazy high market share. I mean, it is. It's high. But like it's not as high as I was anticipating. I mean, Bud Light was at 19%.
Yeah, I mean, so there's some things that went into the slide in their market share, and the biggest one was the growing popularity in Mexican beers because they're made from corn. And so they're a little lighter, they're easier on people who have gluten intolerance and that kind of thing. And they just tend to, in my opinion as well, be a better summer drink. I would much rather hold on to something at the beach like a Corona, like a Tecate, like something like that with a lime in it. It's just more refreshing in my opinion. And I think that people are becoming more health conscious, all of that kind of stuff. And so the Mexican corn beers have grown in popularity, but I still am blown away that like Corona is a good example. I would have bet that Corona was more popular than Modelo, but what do
Yeah,
I know?
that's crazy because like I don't feel like I see Modelo that often,
Right.
and
I
they
They
don't
know.
market like crazy.
they have those commercials on TV that it's always like some guy that works at a bar and he's from Mexico and he immigrated to the United States and he became a bar back because it was the only job he could get, and then he worked his way up to being the head chef. Have you ever seen that commercial?
Yeah.
Maybe I just don't watch enough TV.
Ye- I,
I
Maybe
don't.
you're not their target market
maybe,
because now we
maybe.
have like programmatic uh
That's true.
advertising where like we're not
Yeah,
watching Dateline NBC and we're all getting the exact same commercials anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Maybe, yeah, maybe Kate and I are the target market, or they think we are. I mean, it.
Now that I'm talking about it, it's gonna pop up on my Facebook.
Well, so I brought it just because I did think it was interesting. Yes, the partnership with Dylan Mulvaney definitely dropped sales in the short term, but you'd be erring to think that that's what caused Modelo to overtake Bud Light as the best-selling beer, because it was on its way to happening, whether or not they ever did that partnership, which I don't think many people are aware of. So I brought
Yeah, that's
that
pretty
this week.
crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah, I mean, the growth of Modelo is staggering. I think it's crazy. And another thing that is really weird, ready for this? AB InBev owns Grupo Modelo, but not in the United States. So in the US, AB InBev does not own Grupo Modelo.
What?
Huh.
That's weird.
Listen to this.
How
The
does that work?
Mexican brewery that makes Modelo, Corona, and Pacifico everywhere except, or AB InBev actually owns Grupo Modelo, the Mexican brewery that makes Modelo, Corona, and Pacifico everywhere except the US back in 2013 as part of an antitrust deal. AB InBev sold the US rights to Modelo to Constellation Brands, which owns brands like Svedka, Kim Crawford Wines, etc. So they AB InBev, who owns Bud Light, Budweiser, a million other beers, actually owns Modelo, but just not in the US.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
Isn't that
so
wild?
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you
Interesting.
go. That's what I brought this week.
Debunking the myth.
Debunking the myth. Debunked.
Debunked.
Busted. Remember Mythbusters?
Oh yeah,
The
great show
best. Yeah, the best.
with Jamie and oh man, what was the other guy's name?
Uh-oh. I don't Adam.
Adam. Yeah,
Yeah, yep. Had to
Jamie
th
and
had
Adam.
to had to think about that first. I had to picture him for a little bit.
Yeah. Yep.
Jamie's easy. Jamie's easy.
Yeah, he's got that mustache.
Adam Savage. That's what, yeah. I think
Yeah,
that's what his name is. That's such a sick last name.
I think
Savage.
he's big on YouTube now or something like that.
Is he? I believe
Yeah,
it.
I mean I don't watch him, but I've heard.
Interesting. Well, what'd you bring, Ray?
What did I bring? You ever heard of long drink?
Briefly the other day while we were eating, but I did zero research on it. So,
Yeah. Came out in 1952 in Finland. Pretty crazy. It's like a 5.5% alcohol volume canned cocktail essentially. And I've never had one, but apparently Miles Teller, Ricky Fowler, and a bunch of other people, like big names, are bringing it back across the old pond there and bring it into America and trying to get it real popular. And I've been seeing it around and trying to figure out if I want to try it or not. I think I'm gonna have to because it's everywhere now.
What
Even though
is it? So is it like, would you describe it as like a seltzer? What
it's have
flavors do
you
they
remember when we
have?
talked about Cutwater,
Okay, so it's
like the canned
similar.
cocktails? I believe that this is a canned cocktail and it's flavored as traditional citrus.
hmm.
The regular one. like the
Mhm.
traditional long drink. They have a zero. They have one long drink zero. That's 0 carbs and 0 sugar.
Oh, wow.
And I think that says grapefruit and juniper with berry flavors.
Interesting.
And then they have one that's called Strong, 8.5%. And then it's same thing, grapefruit, juniper. So they're actually all showing grapefruit, juniper. And then they have cranberry.
Juniper. So they're giving you that sort of gin and tonic
That's
feel.
what I heard it tastes like from. I had a buddy that had one.
Okay.
And I was asking him, I was like, what was it like? He's like, it was like a gin and tonic.
Interesting. We saw it on the menu and I was wondering what it was. And so I'm glad that you brought it to the attention because I had never heard of it before. But I mean,
pretty crazy.
These canned cocktails are gaining popularity very quickly. So it'll be interesting.
So
I bet
I scrolled down and it says it is unlike seltzers is what it says, but it says it's a refreshing citrus soda with a premium liquor kick.
interesting.
So I don't know
Yeah,
what
I feel
to
like
consider it.
So I feel like seltzers and these like canned cocktails are super hard to differentiate, but I think the biggest thing is the canned cocktails don't have that malty flavor that the seltzers do.
Gotcha.
And that I think that's like mainly the difference of the ones that I've tasted. But it's really interesting. So I've noticed this a lot in the market lately. It's companies aren't expanding different flavor profiles. They're expanding into like this one is stronger than this one, or this one's 0 sugar when this one isn't. And it's the same flavor. It's just a different like recipe or something. The differentiator isn't the flavor, it's something else, which I find really interesting. And I've been seeing that as a trend a lot lately.
I would imagine that there's so much data on the flavors that people enjoy from White Claw and Truly. And then I'm sure they're doing their own market research and everything like that, that they can bet very well on what flavors are going to work. And then they can tap into different demographics regarding how people care about their health. So some people want to drink these to party, so they make the 8.5er, and then other people want to enjoy a drink, but they're trying to lose weight, so they make the 0. And I think that that's probably what's going on, because I mean, White Claw and Truly exploded and gave people all of this data to be able to tap into what flavors are going to work best. That's what I would guess, but I don't know.
What's crazy to me is, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong too, but seltzers and canned cocktails didn't really come on in America until not that long ago.
They're not too long ago. I'm trying to think when White Claw really became, I don't know when it came out, but when things come out and when they get popular are different. It hasn't been that long. I doubt it. It hasn't been 10 years that White Claw's been super popular, because even in college, White Claw wasn't very popular, right, Kate? When we were in college.
No.
So like,
it came out in 2016.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm pretty sure that this was popular over in Europe.
Yeah,
which is how all these people stumbled upon it. And,
okay.
But it's been around since 1952.
Huh. Yeah, when you said that, I was surprised. That's been a long time. Yeah, I wonder if they enjoy canned cocktails, seltzers across the pond, and if they have for longer than we have over here. I don't know.
I mean, did you think that's 71 years?
Yeah.
That's
crazy. Pretty crazy. Yeah. Huh. Well, that's interesting, Ray. The long drink. We'll have to try it. It sounds like another taste test on the pod.
Yeah, I guess it's gonna have to be. And I haven't actually looked for it at the store. I just keep seeing it at bars.
I mean, I haven't seen it at the store either. I just saw it on the menu at the restaurant the other day, and that's it. So I bet we'll start seeing it everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, do we have any more fun facts of the day? Anything to dive into?
All right. Well, I am just full of Budweiser AB InBev information, and this one's a little bit less controversial, more happy, something we all love. regardless of political affiliation, regardless of religious beliefs, regardless of anything like that, we all love the Budweiser Clydesdales. Do we not?
Right. As everyone should.
Of course.
I think everyone does. Everyone loves the commercial where the poor little puppy is lost from his friend the horse, and then they reunite as he runs down the path at the farm. You know, those kinds of things.
Dude, I look forward to that commercial every year.
Yeah, I know. And so it's interesting. Do you know the history of the Clydesdales? Because I do.
I don't.
Do tell.
So the Clydesdales were purchased as a gift in 1933 to celebrate the repeal of prohibition, which I think is pretty interesting. August A. Bush Jr., the son of August A. Bush Sr., who was at the time the CEO of Anheuser-Busch, purchased the Clydesdales for his dad as a present. Pretty interesting, right?
That is interesting.
Yeah.
So these horses, they were imported from Scotland, which that's such a freaking boss move. Like,
yeah,
you know what I'm gonna get my dad? Imported Clydesdales from Scotland as a gift because that's just awesome.
That's epic.
So they were selected, Clydesdales in general back then. They were a symbol of size, strength, beauty, and so that was why August Bush Jr. selected the Clydesdales, and they quickly became a symbol of the Budweiser brand in America. August A. Bush Sr. loved it. He started taking them around to different events across the country. He would do promotional and parade appearances, and the Clydesdales ended up gaining significant popularity throughout the Northeast because of all of these different events. And then word of mouth spread it nationwide to the point where the Clydesdales made appearances at the Parade of Roses, at the Rose Bowl, Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. They became a big thing, but they didn't get into advertising until 1986, which I thought was pretty interesting, or at least TV advertising. So in 1986, they made their debut in an iconic Super Bowl commercial that featured the Clydesdales playing football. I've never seen this commercial, but apparently this is the iconic first Budweiser Clydesdale commercial in 1986.
That's interesting. I want to see this now.
I know. I would love to see it too. I wish we could stitch it in here. If we were better podcasters, we probably could, but go look it up. Go look up the 1986 Clydesdale commercial and you'll probably get to see it on YouTube.
It's homework for a future podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
Watch it.
Definitely. But since then,
so
I think there was a two-year period, I believe, where they were not in Super Bowl advertisements. But other than that, they've been a part of Super Bowl advertising since 1986. So that's the quick history. There's a ton more little facts and events that they've appeared at and all kinds of things like that. But pretty interesting. A present in 1933 for Dad.
Well, it's crazy that it's because Prohibition ended.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine how much of a celebration it probably was because of the hardship that I mean, I don't know. It would be like if you had a podcast that you made all your money from and then they made podcasts illegal.
Yeah.
For like a decade.
Yeah. I mean, it's really crazy, the financial hardship that some of those companies went into, including behemoths like Anheuser-Busch. So I'm sure it was quite a celebration when you were able to sell alcohol to the general public again.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I imagine like they probably, I don't know how big they were in the 30s. I have no clue. Well, obviously not very big since Prohibition was around, but before that, I have no idea how big they were, but I'm assuming pretty big. And imagine just going from making back then probably the equivalent of a couple $1 million.
Yeah.
To making $0.
Yeah. I know. trying to figure out loopholes to sell for medicinal purposes and things like that. It had to be really stressful, but man, I don't know. Did you guys see Kate sent that picture of the moonshiners during Prohibition? They would wear shoes with hoof prints on them to evade the law enforcement folks that were chasing them through the woods.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I saw this online somewhere when during Prohibition, the police didn't think too much of like horses walking through the woods. And so I'll post this picture on our Instagram. So when this podcast launches, so go to our Instagram at We Are Social Drinkers, and you can see these pictures. They like Jimmy rigged these shoes, and the bottom of them looks exactly like a horse hoof, so that they wouldn't see footprints walking through the woods to go to their secret location and make their moonshine. They would see horses' hooves and literally wouldn't think anything of it.
Crazy.
Could you imagine walking on those?
Oh my gosh, no.
They were like heels, except on the front and back.
Yeah, and they had the hoof thing in the middle, so you'd be like wobbling around.
Oh yeah,
be terrible.
Horrible.
Oh man,
gotta do what you gotta do.
Well, that's all I brought this week.
I've got one more interesting fact for you.
All right.
So
let's hear it.
A couple pros of moderately drinking alcohol. Do you know that it reduces your risk of developing and dying from heart disease?
Really?
Yep. And then it can reduce your risk of having a stroke.
Okay.
Which is pretty crazy. And it can reduce your risk of diabetes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So moderate alcohol drinking, not, for those of you listening, not a lot.
Not a lot.
They actually did say what they defined moderate, and it's like 12 fluid ounces of beer a day.
It's probably a standard drink per day.
5 fluid ounces of wine,
yeah.
And then 1.5 fluid ounces of distilled spirits, 80 proof.
Interesting. I will say that, just for the sake of covering our butts on the podcast, these are heavily debated studies that go on in science, but there's a lot of literature out there in the scientific world that say, 7 drinks or below throughout the week is not bad for you, not harmful, or even helpful to your health, which is pretty interesting.
The Mayo Clinic.
Yeah.
It's pretty reputable, but I didn't tell you the cons. All right.
Oh, okay.
Let's hear.
We've got cons.
Oh, I mean, I didn't even actually look at the cons. Okay. So
we don't even want to know the cons.
Yeah.
We just want to know the pros.
Let me tell you. All right. Increased risks of some cancers and drinking and driving.
Drinking and driving.
Drinking and driving.
That's
if you choose to drive.
Yeah.
What date is this article from?
It is posted. Maybe it's at the bottom. It's not at the top, which is weird. You'd think it would be.
Yeah, you would.
Come on now. December 11th, 2021.
Okay. So it's a couple years old.
Very
so
recent.
Yeah.
True.
Yep.
And then it's got when to avoid alcohol, which is actually on all of your alcoholic beverages if you look at them.
While pregnant.
Yeah.
Is that the only warning while pregnant?
Operating vehicles and heavy equipment is on there.
Yep. So drinking and driving, and don't drink while you're pregnant.
Yep. There's more on here, like, if you have liver or pancreatic disease.
This is starting to sound like a pharma commercial.
Yeah, if you have a weak heart, don't drink. But yeah,
if you drink alcohol, you could suffer from the following side effects: sleepless nights,
drinking and driving,
nausea and diarrhea,
death.
Oh man! All right, well, that's all I brought for us this week, and
all right,
we're just about wrapped up actually. So
take us out of here, then, Ray.
All right. Well, if you're listening to us right now, you probably found us, but listen to us again and find us again elsewhere. That's a challenge for you. All right. Listen to us on a different platform next time. See if you like it. And if you don't, leave a comment. But we're on, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. What else, Kate? I'm missing a lot, I know.
We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube for the podcast, Google Play, literally anywhere you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to us. And then you can also find us on all the social media, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We're tweeting more, so shout out there. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, and we'll have all that linked below.
We also have our newsletter, Shots. So
That's true.
If you think we're funny here, you should read that because it's pretty funny. And that goes out every Thursday, and you can sign up for it on. Kate, I don't actually know the URL for that.
It'll be in the show
linked,
notes.
Yeah, it's linked below. Super easy to find. It's just shots.socialdrinkers.co.
Gotcha. Well, that's how you find us. And cheers.
Cheers. Till next week.
Till next week.